Aloha. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Stephen Ono. I'm the owner of Ono Poke and a proud member of the Multicultural Association of Edmonds. Tonight, it is my honor to be the keynote speaker for the 2023 State of the City Address. And this is something I do not take for granted. You see, I grew up in Kahaluu, which is a very small rural town on the east side of Oahu. Although we weren't poor, the reality was that my parents were trying to raise 3 young kids on small salaries, and we were always, as they say, just one rice scoop away from going hungry. My parents also sacrificed many more things by enrolling us in private school and then college, which is how I ended up in Seattle for the first time. I moved back to Hawaii after graduating, and it took a very long time for me to try and find my footing, which I really never did. So after 8 years of being home, I decided to come back to Seattle in 1998 to work for a college friend of mine who was building the website for this small online book selling company called Amazon. I left after only a couple months, so you can say I fumbled that opportunity. Well, things got better though, as I started to find my footing. And before I even knew it, I was married, had a house, car, a dog, and 2 little kiddos who I get to share this opportunity with tonight. Everything was going great in the corporate world until I got laid off in 2016. After contemplating career choices for several months, I asked my good old aforementioned long retired Amazon friend to listen to my crazy idea of opening up a poke shop. You see, since she had been retired, her and her husband had spent those years building a food empire, starting with coffee shops, turning that into many restaurants throughout the Seattle area and beyond. So in 2017, it was decided that I was going to open a new restaurant, a niche ethnic one, as my first business, as my first restaurant in a strip mall next to a Subway, and cashing out my entire 401k that I had been investing for over 20 years in. That might have been a little risky. But hey, the one benefit was that the shop was only an 8-minute walk from my house. So, there's that. But fast forward to now. Being included on the list of restaurants who make Edmonds a dining destination has been tremendously gratifying and a side effect that I had not even considered when opening it up. I've seen Westgate and other Edmonds neighborhoods blossom since moving here to this area in 2005, and I am so grateful to be an active participant in this community. I helped turn an idea originally born from the Diversity Commission as a one-day Lunar New Year celebration in 2022 to what has now blossomed into a 501c3 nonprofit organization called the Multicultural Association of Edmonds. We now have plans to celebrate many more cultural, diverse traditions in our city. The support we have received from City Hall and the Chamber and the community at large has been nothing short of amazing to me. The last few years has been challenging for all of us, but we're facing them together as a community, as Ohana family. From customers who've become friends, volunteers donating their time, to businesses and city administration coming together for collective causes, we have achieved great things working together. Our community encourages and inspires me every day to help make Edmonds a better place. I now try very hard not to take anything for granted because, after all, I'm still that guy from a small town who's trying to make it on the mainland. Work smart, respect everyone, be kind, saying please and thank you. Just like the evolution of Edmonds, these words for me have also evolved to simply meaning live aloha. So I urge each and every one of you today to live aloha every day. And with that, it is with my great pride I get to introduce the Mayor of Edmonds, Mike Nelson, to share the 2023 State of the City. Thank you, and live aloha.
Good evening. My goodness, it is so nice to be not talking to a screen when I'm doing this. I'm like, it's like looking at a camera and you have to get all excited and you have no idea like who's there. So anyway, it's wonderful to see you all. All right, here. Got it. Big font and everything here. So good evening. I'm very excited to present to you the 2023 State of the City. I first want to acknowledge some elected of our officials and distinguished guests in the audience. Let's see, where is Superintendent Rebecca Miner? There she is from our Edmonds School District. Welcome. And we have Councilmember Susan Payne. There we are. Councilmember Vivian Olson. Councilmember Chen. And any other elected officials that are here that I didn't get to see? No? Okay. And then, of course, without the most distinguished guest, at least in my life, is my wife, Erica. So, hi, sweetie. Over the last 3 years, we have been consumed with COVID, and yet our community continues its strong desire to be connected with each other. Stronger than ever, we are moving forward together as a city. Are there challenges besides COVID facing us? You bet. But I believe our city and its residents are ready to tackle them together. So with now, I want to update you where we are as a city, specifically on all the things I talked about back in 2022. And they were making Edmonds more livable by building connections to improve public safety and our new vision for our public spaces. We, of course, since I came out with this thing, we now call it Reimagining. So reimagining our public spaces, coming out of the COVID shadows, people were excited once again to connect with each other. And I wanted to make sure that we invested and connected with all parts of our city, not just focusing on our downtown. So in fact, last year I reported a majority of our residents had expressed a need for more community events. Well, we heard you and we acted on it. In 2002, we engaged in a public space conversation about your neighborhoods. Where are those areas that make up our overwhelming public spaces, you may ask? It's our streets, about 77% of them. These city hosted 6 roundtable discussions in neighborhood commercial areas, held over 30 group meetings, and our community implemented 3 pilot projects, some which you saw in that video. This was made possible by residents like you who helped plan and implemented these pilot projects. And I don't know if we have any more photos of that, or no, maybe not. All right. All events all around Edmonds. We doubled the number of outdoor markets we had in the Highway 99 Uptown corridor. We held outdoor movies and concerts in neighborhood parks throughout Edmonds with hundreds of people in attendance. This was the first year our parks events were held outside of downtown. Last year, I talked about this new campaign to sign up residents for called Smart911. This system helps residents of Edmonds by providing timely warning and information about severe weather events and natural disasters such as earthquakes and flooding and wildfire from the Snohomish County Department of Emergency Management, as well as the Washington State Division of Emergency Management. The system also provides the City of Edmonds as a way to send Edmonds specific information to all types of emergency and disaster events and preparation for those events, as well as other city information from our public works, police, and emergency management. When we started this campaign, there were 30 people in the system. I'm proud to announce today there are now 2,491. That is an 8,000% increase in the enrollment of the system for Edmonds residents. I don't think you can say that a lot in government, right? 8,000%. And you can still sign up today, so please sign up. Next, human services, and specifically our Unhoused response. Last year, when I shared with you an update on our new human services program, I'm happy to report now we have a new social worker. There she is. But we've also, who's now fully integrated with our police department in helping our most vulnerable residents. In 2002, the City of Edmonds coordinated services for 195 people. 62% of them presented with at least one behavioral health need. The Edmonds Police Department and our neighborhood city hall were the 2 top places that were getting the referrals. Clients are connected to services such as temporary housing, detox, and substance use treatment, food and hygiene resources, and household support grants. The city manages 5 motel vouchers through the Department of Commerce and is working closely with the Snohomish County in preparation for the new temporary bridge housing facility in the former American Best Value Inn. This has truly been an all-city effort. Human services in coordination with the Edmonds Police Department, responding to calls and accepting referrals, our neighborhood city hall, connecting individuals to services, our community court, attending and providing services as well as food, Parks Department responding and coordinating services for locations for those who are in our parks, community services with ARP support grants, administrative services with utility assistance programs, our planning department assisting with code enforcement, our Edmonds Senior Center collaborating on social work and food needs, the South County Fire with their community paramedics, the Snow Isle Library System accepting referrals and providing coordinating day warming centers, and numerous nonprofit and faith-based service providers. I am proud to say they are making a difference. Before I move on to the next priority, though, I do want to share with you one request about this. Dr. Martin Luther King said, quote, "A civilization can flounder as readily in the face of moral bankruptcy as it can through financial bankruptcy." So in our time of economic and social divide, let us pause our moral judgment we place on those who have less than we do, where we equate financial success with being morally good and those who are poor as being morally flawed. Residents have contacted me seething with anger about someone begging for money outside a grocery store or an unhoused person sitting on a sidewalk. We have all been through hardships, struggled. The difference is every single one of us, whether they admit it or not, who's gotten up, back up, has had someone in their life to help them. Next, I'd like to follow up on our community policing. Today, our police department is better than it's ever been. It's better funded, it's better trained, it's better equipped. It has more officers, it's more diverse, more transparent, more accountable, and more engaged with our community. For example, last year, our officers and community engagement coordinator participated in countless community outreach activities, including sharing domestic violence information in multiple languages speak in Vietnamese, Korean, and Spanish. They participated in neighborhood meetings for residents in South Meadowdale, Lake Ballinger, Seaview, and Firdale, or as someone I know says, Firdale, discussing crime prevention in their neighborhoods. Our police department also provided active shooter training to our businesses and churches to enhance preparedness through a community approach with tools and resources to help prepare for an active shooter incident. They created an internet safety program for kids of all ages that provides how to safely navigate the internet and avoid online security risks such as cyberbullying, online predators, and exposure to inappropriate content. Our police department forged partnerships with a local youth organization such as Washington Kids in Transition and the Edmonds Boys and Girls Club. They collaborated with the Edmonds Rotary and the Edmonds Food Bank to collect over 500 pounds of food for our community. And our neighborhood city hall has been more as a place that our residents have been able to connect with one another and the city, which has helped them make them feel like they belong. These partnerships help develop trust and transparency, leading to a better community police relationships. Next, our local economy. It may come as a surprise or not, but our local economy continues to be strong. Over the last several years, our city took steps to support our local businesses through business support grants, outdoor dining permits, and tourism promotion. And I'm excited to report it is literally paying off. In the last decade, half of all of our sales tax revenue for the entire city was made in the last 3 years. More people than ever are visiting, dining, and shopping at Edmonds. My friends, business is booming. Next, I want to talk about equity in action. Last year, I described the need and importance of hiring a permanent READY manager, racial equity, diversity, and inclusion manager. I've been frustrated in the challenges we've had in filling this position that was only authorized for a temporary hire. I'm pleased to report we have finally made some progress, and we have some applicants who are willing to work for 3 years, and the hiring process is underway. But hopefully this will lead to a permanent position. Institutional discrimination and inequality will only be overcome by ongoing and permanent changes, not temporary fixes. In the meantime, we've taken steps to improve the equitable engagement of our city. Last year, the Planning and Development Department, responsible for all permitting and zoning for our entire city, developed an equitable outreach plan. This guides the planning department and construction folks to conduct community engagement. It calls for development of long-term relationships to build trust with historically underserved communities. This plan will put in practice, actually was just put in practice when we had our comprehensive plan visioning process this summer, where multilingual branding and surveys provided to residents in Korean, Chinese, and Spanish. This new effort is our city government attempting to meet people where they are at, not just expecting folks to read it in the paper or come to a website, but how we can come to you. And probably what most folks here want to know is, when is Civic Field going to be done? So, it's getting there. So we do have a nice little photo montage of where we're at on Civic Field. So if we can roll that. We are so close. Next, I want to talk about parkland acquisition, another area we are making Edmonds more livable. We've identified multiple park parcels of land to expand our park system. And if you look on the map, those stars are all new opportunities for open space in our city. Our Parks Department created a brand new nomination evaluation process, something that we as city had never done before. Historically, the only way we found out about land is because someone knocked on our door and says, hey, can I sell you some land? Instead, we have taken a very proactive approach to go out there and meet with landowners where they're at, do site research, appraisals, reach out to grants, land trusts. And some of the things now, we have a whole process in place, and some of the things now the Parks Department considers when we're looking at a piece of land, as opposed to, oh, it's available, but what is it, how is it going to fit our parks needs, such as wildlife corridors, tree canopy, natural vegetation? Does it have streams supporting fish habitat? Is it located next to a threatened watershed? Would it be eligible for any kind of external funding? What about its geographic location, distribution, right? Where is it located in the city? Is it all downtown or is it someplace else? Is there pedestrian access, trail corridors? What are the recreational opportunities? I hope to share with you soon some additional progress we are making in this area. Next, Highway 99 renewal. Oh yeah, I probably like went out of order on this one. So yeah, I don't know if we even have a slide on that. Maybe we do. Last year, I talked about building a safer highway in the Highway 99 corridor. And soon, as you can see from the photo, and from those of you who've been sitting through traffic, it's well underway. Unfortunately, there's been a shortage of building materials, specifically concrete, that's caused some delays. But the end is in sight. And in fact, you can actually see now they've actually got some trees, which I've been wondering, where the heck are the damn trees? So they're coming, 120 of them. So, but in addition to these physical improvements we are making up there, our city staff has been engaging in creating a community renewal plan. And this action plan is designed to coordinate city-like projects to address long-standing issues, specifically in the southern part of the Highway 99. It involves stakeholder interviews, walking tours to document the conditions, public open house events, an economic profile of the area, and analysis of the physical characteristics. Recommendations from this communal plan include public-private partnerships to provide community amenities and housing options, creating new through-block connections to improve walkability, develop new neighborhood parks, and use green streets to reduce stormwater runoff. All right, now without showing everything, we will go to where we are going in 2023 and beyond. Here is a handful of new city projects my administration will be pursuing in 2023. They will be multi-year, they will be bold, and they will make Edmonds more livable for all. The first, I'm probably most excited, don't show it yet. The first is, back in April of 2022, I remember vividly going with the police chief to a scene where a toddler and a teenager had been hit by a car. And it had a profound impact on me and the misplaced priorities that we place on cars over people. And this is not in my remarks, but if you think about it, how unfair it is when somebody walks down the street like me and I cross the street and here comes a car, and you think about all the safety features that car has: seatbelts, airbags, early warning, analog brakes, headlights, horns, 4,000 pounds of steel and aluminum. Me, what do I have? My eyes, my ears, 200 pounds. It's no match. There's no comparison. And yet we, for some reason, keep on prioritizing how quickly we can get cars through. Today, sadly, pedestrians and bicyclists the fatalities of them are increasing at a faster rate than automobile fatalities. We need to change our priority from reaching our destination to reaching our destination unharmed. Our streets need to be designed to balance needs for all users and prioritize the most vulnerable. So the item I am most excited to announce tonight is our new multi-trail network. Okay, there, now you can show it. The goal here is to create multi-use trail network that connects schools and parks throughout Edmonds. It will provide direct connections to key destinations among commonly traveled routes. This network will be located within a quarter-mile radius of all public schools and community parks. And any connection to a school that is greater than a quarter of a mile will be routed through streets that are low traffic volume. And so what we have here is first, go back to the original one. You can see, here's an actual overlay. This is over by Westgate Elementary. And you can see what the sidewalks look like now. And then with the new overlay, on the left-hand side now, we have a considerable widened path. We have a buffer. We have a area, and this will, like I said on that map, exist throughout all the parks and schools in our community. Thank you. Next is another way we're making our city more livable is by getting help from you. It was clear from our Smart 911 outreach that our residents want to do more to prepare for a disaster. All right. So this is a great way that you can meet your neighbors, your friends, and plan and prepare together. We're creating this new Edmonds Preparedness volunteer group. Any disaster, whether it's an earthquake, tsunami, flood, fire, will require all of us to look out for each other. This program will bring together local government, volunteer groups, first responders, business and community leaders to strengthen our community, supporting emergency preparedness, prevention, and response. It will enhance abilities of individuals through trainings and education, so you're better prepared to respond to the hazards and threats that may impact your friends, family, and yes, pets and community. Members of this new preparedness group will meet monthly at City Hall beginning later this month, so stay tuned for sign-up information to be released soon. Now, you've heard me talk about how I've prioritized city projects outside the bowl, but I'll be the first to admit I appreciate and realize the impact and charm our downtown serves in our community. That is why tonight I am announcing a new proposal to create a downtown historical district. Our Edmonds Downtown Core offers unique glimpses in the past and represents a distinct character. I believe this history should be preserved. We'll be working with the Washington State Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation to evaluate the potential of designating a historic district in Edmonds Downtown Core to the National Register of Historic Places. The establishment of a historic district will involve exploring and surveying local properties of historic significance, community outreach, and coordination. Benefits include raising awareness and appreciation of our local history and formally recognizing the historic character of our downtown for future generations to enjoy. Next, I want to talk about our climate action plan. Recently, I was invited to an elementary school fair, and like you go to any science students fair, there's all these booths set up, and the kids are telling you and animated how they're going to fix and solve all these things. And it was heartening to see the creative ideas that kids had to help reduce the impacts of the climate crisis. But it was also tragic. It was tragic because we are at a place now where we're relying on our children to fix this parent-made catastrophe. We need to be the adults in the room. We need to accept responsibility and make lifestyle changes to save their future, not just ours. Extreme weather like floods, fires, storms, droughts are an effect of a climate. They're an effect of the climate crisis, but they are not the cause. Human actions are the cause. And although our actions are the cause, they can also be the solutions. Our carbon emissions probably come primarily in our city from two things: buildings and automobiles. The Edmonds Climate Action Plan sets actions to reach a carbon emissions reduction goal. The main goal of this plan is to reach climate neutrality by 2050. Now, if you're not familiar with that statement, I wasn't either. What the heck is climate neutrality? This means that we're going to produce an amount of carbon emissions that our planet can absorb. Not more, but just enough that it can absorb. Sadly, our city has not made much progress in this since our first climate action plan in 2010. We must take bolder action. This plan outlines new actions that Edmonds can do to meet the 2035 target if we take action now. And if you see here on the graph here, business as usual if we do nothing. The yellow one there is if just with what the state and the feds do. And the dotted line is what the city of Edmonds, the blue dotted line is what the city of Edmonds do. So if we do what I'm going to tell you next, we will make our 2035 goals. We will make our 2035 goals. The problem will be, how do we get to 2050? And that's coming up sooner than you realize. It's not that far away. So you can see there's still a gap. What I'm going to tell you now just gets us to 2035. Some of the most effective action we can take include adopting zoning codes that facilitate renewable energy projects, creating a green building incentive program, requiring large-scale buildings to meet LEED Gold standards, invest in green street improvements that promote walking, biking, and transit, One of the biggest things is the electrifying of new construction, because buildings, I mentioned that cars and buildings emit about half of the carbon emissions. We need to amend our code to acquire the electrifying of utilities in new commercial and multifamily development, incentivize electrification in new single-family residences until the state code is amended to allow Edmonds to require it. What does that mean? It means our reliance right now on heating our homes is primarily through natural gas. And when you look at what are the harmful, and this is not in my remarks, but what is the most harmful emissions out there? We think of carbon dioxide. We think about how terrible it is and how long it's up there. Methane from natural gas is 80 times more potent, but it only has a shelf life of 12 years, but it's 80 times more potent. If we can reduce that, we can have a considerable difference in addressing this climate crisis. So something as simple as transitioning to electrification that's from renewable sources opposed to dirty fossil fuels like natural gas will make a profound difference on our carbon emissions. With these actions, we have calculated we can reduce up to 450 million miles of carbon emissions by 2044. And lastly, we're almost done. Lastly, is our continued Highway 99 investment. It's continued, but it's no small project. What you're seeing here is stage 2, but what I'm going to be talking about is stage 3. We're going to be doing is adding a planter buffer with 6-foot planter buffer on top of a 7-foot sidewalk on both sides of the highway. We're going to improve pedestrian safety where Highway 99 and SR 104 meet with rapid flashing beacons, lighting and signage, new ADA compliant curb ramps, new stormwater, sewer upgrades, street and pedestrian lighting. All these things will create a welcoming and attractive environment. It's projected to cost $33 million. And I'm excited to say the city has already secured $27.6 million in state funding to complete this project. In summary, we are making Edmonds more livable by reimagining our public spaces, building connections with city events in every part of our city, ensuring our residents are warned and prepared for any disasters we face, providing services for the unhoused, building closer police and community relationships, strengthening our local economy, assuring our city makes equitable decisions that serve our diverse community, finding more parks and open spaces, protecting our kids with a more walkable community, preserving our downtown, investing more in uptown, and doing all we can to protect our environment for us and future generations. Even with all this, there will always be challenges and uncertainties that our city will face, but I'm not worried because you and I are not alone. We are blessed with an amazing city staff, dedicated volunteers, active community leaders, caring business leaders, and the most passionate and engaged residents in this whole country. I believe that if we act with love and compassion for one another, my friends, our best days are ahead of us. Thank you.